2, 1. Alyssa.
Yes.
You know Dublin.
I do. I don't know it personally, but I have been to the city of Dublin, yes.
Oh. I meant Dublin Bar.
Oh.
Same thing.
Yes.
Same thing.
Same thing, yes. You mean Dublin, the bar, Dublin.
The Irish pub up
the
at
Irish pub.
Michigan State campus.
I am aware, yes. I am familiar with that bar.
Yeah. We've been there a time or two.
I've not been in a long time.
I haven't either.
Yes.
But one time we went for a birthday dinner, and then I wasn't 21, so they told me that I had to leave at like 10 p.m. when they like.
It was actually night. It was 9:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
And the rest of the table got to stay.
I have a video of that. Yeah, it was a restaurant before it turned into a bar, and if you were there at a certain time, you'd get like a mark on your hand, and they make you leave.
Yeah.
Be like, they'll come wrangle you. All right.
Yeah.
Round you up.
There was a time though that me and two-time guest Tara,
soon to be two-time guest, depending
soon
on
to be two-time guest.
Whenever I put out the episode, which hopefully will be in the next week. So,
and a few other friends went to Dublin. You were not there.
Okay.
I don't remember where you were. And we had gone to Dublin, and we weren't really feeling the vibe. We're like, this just isn't it. So we went over to Sticky Ricky's.
Of course.
Only to find out the line was way wrapped around the corner. So we said, now we're going to go back to Dublin.
Was it also winter, or was it warm out?
It was winter.
Okay, yeah. You don't want to wait in line.
No, we didn't want to wait. So we're like, we'll just go back to Dublin. The vibes will get better. So we were in the back area, which is like they play music, and it's more of like dance bar sort of situation. And we're there, and out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, that guy looks just like Joey Fatone from NSYNC. Mm. And I was like, that can't be Joey Fatone. Why the fuck would he be at a bar at Michigan State?
Crazy.
Yeah. And I was like, nah, that's weird. So I kind of like put it out of my mind. And then like 30 minutes later, I look over and there's girls going up to him and like, I thought asking for a picture. And I was like, oh my God, it's Joey Fatone. Turns out they were asking him to take their photo of them. So I'm like, okay, it's not him. But I couldn't just shake that feeling that was Joey Fatone. So I did a little deep dive on social media. I did a little investigating because you can find out a lot in a very short amount of time. And I found Joey Fatone's Instagram, and he had a story that he was moving his daughter into Michigan State that day. And I was like, holy fuck, that is Joey Fatone.
It's him.
I told Tara. He's both
real.
got very excited. We didn't want to approach him, though, because we just felt like, they're trying to...
You don't want to bother people when they're just living,
and he had like a ball cap on. He kind of looked like he was like incognito a little bit.
I mean, okay, but let's be honest. Do you really think he's incognito at a college bar?
Yeah, it was
Michigan
weird.
State,
because
right?
it was weird because it was like him and a group of like people his age were the only people that age, and they were back like in the dance club part area, and it was just very odd. But anyways, whatever.
I'll just say for the Dublin crowd, and a middle-aged group of men would be out of place for the vibe of that bar.
Yes.
Like, no, certainly some of the other bars would probably make a little more sense. Like Tin Can, I feel like sometimes had an older crowd. Some of the other bars. But yeah, Dublin very heavily skewed towards college grad student age. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a little bit weird. So we're like, we're not going to approach him. We'll let him be. And then I remember we sent you a video. We were both pretty drunk at that point. We sent you a Snapchat video when we got home of us trying to get into the house and then us telling you about how we met Joey Fatone.
Yes.
And how we felt his presence in Dublin.
I think I was out of town somewhere that weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just, I've met a couple famous people. I don't know if you consider them famous, but
I mean, you met Tyler Oakley.
Yeah, I did. And I got
also,
a photo with him, and I actually like talked to him because he went to Michigan State, so it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always weird seeing people out in public, especially like in Michigan. You don't see a lot of like just famous people. It's not like a common thing.
I mean, unless they live here, I guess.
Right. Like, I mean, Eminem, like, I've never seen him, but he shows up to a lot of, like, Detroit sports things.
We ran by his house.
Yeah.
In cross country.
So it wouldn't be weird to see them, but, like, yeah, I mean, Is Joey Fatone that famous?
I mean, I think like millennials, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, current day, I know NSYNC has, like, been doing stuff, but, like...
But I don't think any Gen Zers would see a picture of Joey Fatone and know it's him.
And that was why it was funny that these, like, probably, like, 21, 22-year-old girls were asking him to take a photo of them because they didn't even realize he was someone famous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
But, yeah, that's my Dublin story, because I've never been to Dublin.
My Dublin story involves rain, a lot of rain. It was the only day of a trip that a previous co-host, Audrey, and I went on that rained. It was just that day in Dublin. But it was great. Yeah. Would recommend. It was a good city. I enjoyed it a lot. And to be honest, I don't know if you've told that story before. I mean, I've heard the story before.
Yeah.
It's very possible we've already used that as an intro, but honestly, after 100 episodes, how would we know?
If we've used it before, you can skip it. Just skip ahead.
Feel free to. Feel free to skip.
Skip ahead probably 10 minutes. Well, no, not at that point, because we're at the end, but...
Disclaimer. We'll leave a disclaimer at the front. It's fine. Either way, you got to experience... You got the Joey Fatone experience.
Yeah.
And would you say it was positive?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't seem that douchey, but, you know, I didn't really get to experience it, but I wouldn't say I'm a huge Joey Fatone fan. I think in the video when I was drunk, I did say that he was actually the best and most important member of NSYNC.
I think you did say something akin to that, yeah.
But I don't trust myself when I've been drinking.
To be accurate?
To just be truthful.
Okay.
And
I think that's sense. Fair. You did try to explain global warming once after drinking, and you were nowhere near to being close to that.
I mean, do I actually know what global warming is as a sober person? I do.
You should. I was gonna say
that was a joke. To be clear, that was a joke.
Okay. I was like, are you about to say you don't?
And I realized I was doing sarcasm in the camera. I made a face, but I realized most people are just going to be hearing this, and that was a joke. But yeah, we've both been to Dublin. I would say Dublin Bar in East Lansing and Dublin, Ireland are about the same experience. Except you didn't see Joey Fatone in Dublin.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. I did not see Joey Fatone when I was in Dublin. To my knowledge, he could have been there. You know?
He could have.
It's possible. It's a big city.
It is big.
It's possible. Got good shawarma. Surprisingly.
Well, Dublin Bar has good... I don't know what to say.
Got the strongest Moscow meals I've ever had in my life at Dublin.
Dublin does not skimp you on alcohol like the other bars do.
I had to stop drinking it. It was so strong.
They make very strong drinks.
Or maybe they don't anymore. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Either way, we gotta end this intro, Hannah. We're rusty.
Yeah.
We gotta end this.
Dublin, Ireland, Dublin Bar, Joey Fatone.
That's pure Ireland.
That's pure Ireland. It's the luck of the Irish.
Oh, God. You really just went for the straight stereotype. My God, I was not expecting that in the slightest.
I regret everything. I'm so sorry if anyone from Ireland is offended. We are part Irish, I believe, so...
Yeah, we have some... We have Irish ancestry, yes,
so
we do.
I really did offend myself. Anyways, welcome. This is Research Rank Repeat. This is co-host Hannah.
This is co-host Alyssa.
And we are talking Lindsay Lohan movies, and we're talking Irish Wish. Hence why I started that intro with the luck of the Irish bit.
I was not prepared for that.
Yeah, I didn't know that was going to come out of my mouth.
It's Aya boy.
It's the Aya.
My dad's from Cleveland.
Yeah. Anyways, Lindsay Lohan has released another new movie, which was actually something I thought we were going to end up doing last year, but there were delays.
Yeah. But yeah, we finally have a new Lindsay Lohan movie, Irish Wish.
Yeah, and we're going to discuss it, and then we're going to add it to our ranking.
Yeah, because we haven't added since 2022.
Yeah, which is Falling for Christmas.
Falling for Christmas. So, speaking of Falling for Christmas, basically what happened is Lindsay Lohan did a movie with Netflix, Falling for Christmas. We covered it in 2022. You could check out that episode if you haven't heard it, or if you wanted to know about that movie. Go ahead and check that out. Or the movie out. It's probably still on Netflix. It was directed by Janine Damian. And Netflix liked that partnership so much that they basically created a deal for Lindsay Lohan to do 2 more films with Netflix. So this is the first of those 2 films, directed by the same woman who did the first one. So they continued that partnership. And essentially, originally, the working film was supposed to be set in Italy with the working title of European Wedding. And then at a certain point in the script writing, the set changed to Ireland, and the concept plot of it being surrounded around a wedding is still there. But I don't know if maybe they just decided Italy was harder to film in, I don't know, than Ireland. I don't know. No clue. But essentially, we get a movie that, like, pretty much all of the scenes were filmed in Ireland. A lot of the set pieces are found in various places throughout Ireland. I think they did filming in Dublin, a few of the smaller cities. Cliffs of Moher were used. A couple of the landmark spots throughout Ireland were used as well. And I can say, as someone who's been there, it is actually that green. Like, I know some people probably think that they maybe did the contrast up. And that was something I'm bringing this up because they talked about in the background on our most trusted site, Wikipedia, that they were like, oh, you don't even have to mess with the contrast because the colors are so bright. And yeah, it really is that green. I know. I've been there once. Really, there's not a ton of background on this film. Lindsay Lohan was involved with the story and production of this film, just like the writing process. She had involvement with that. She also did a lot of her own stunts. They did a lot of physical comedy in this film, and she did do quite a lot of her own stunts. And on March 15th, 2024, the film was released on streaming on Netflix. It also had a limited theatrical release at the Bay Theater in Los Angeles. So on the same day it released on Netflix, it also released in theaters. And it debuted at number 1 on the most watched films the day it was released. It had 1 million views in the first 72 hours. It had 699 million minutes watched in the first week of release, and it was the overall most watched movie worldwide on Netflix between March 18th and 24th. I don't know why I just said 24. Oh, Cashy boy. Little Cashy Cash. But essentially what this is to say is that the film did well in terms of, like, actual view time, people watching it. So, pretty popular. On Netflix, at least, around when it debuted. The actual critical response has been more mixed. Which is not surprising because it's a Netflix original film. The production budget is never that high for most of their movies. It's a known thing. There was specific praise for Lindsay Lohan's acting and her chemistry with the other lead, Spliers. I haven't written his last name. I don't know what his first name is. Spliers. I really should have gotten the first name, but let me go to Letterboxd really quick.
The guy who plays James, the photographer?
Yes. Okay. The guy who plays James. Ed Spliers.
Okay.
Spielers? Yeah, James the photographer. The wildlife photographer. The endangered tree lizard wildlife photographer, I should say. Excuse me. But anyway, it has a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, 46 out of 100 on Metacritic, a 5.2 out of 10 in IMDb, and a critical 1.9 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
It's actually 1.7 as of today.
Did it go down? It went down? Okay. It was 1.9. It was 1.9 when I looked at it, but I also have my, like, from when I added my thing to Letterboxd. So I haven't, it still says, it's at a 1. I'm going to try refreshing it.
Or maybe I read it wrong.
I'm going to refresh it, because it was 1.9.
Oh, no, it is 1.9. You're right.
Okay. I was going to say, I just looked at it, like, 15
But still,
minutes
very
ago.
low.
Still very low. 1.9, I think, to my personal opinion, I think that's too low. But
yeah,
we'll get into it. But yeah, so that's my background. Hannah, did you write us a summary of this movie?
I did.
Excellent. I'm so excited because I miss, with a lot of the stuff we have been doing, especially doing the large-scale Ghibli.
Yeah.
We didn't write our own summaries, and I
do miss it, too. I had a lot of fun writing this. Okay. Lindsay Lohan, a.k.a. Madeline, is a book editor who is in love with Paul, an Irish leprechaun author. He's a baby, not very charming, but he's an average-looking white guy with an accent, which makes women swoon for him. Things take a turn when Paul falls for Madeline's friend, and the two are quickly set to get married. Madeline makes a wish for all this to change. Will she get everything she ever wanted, or will she realize it's just her luck for it not to come true? And no, her dad is not from Cleveland, but don't worry, she still has the luck of the Irish on her side.
Excuse me, that's Paul Kennedy to you? Paul Kennedy, Hannah. I'm marrying Paul Kennedy. It's Paul Kennedy. I'm Paul Kennedy.
Paul Kennedy.
My name is Paul Kennedy.
It's like the scene from The Office when he's like, Bob Vance, Vance refrigeration.
Bob
Vance. You know,
I have a lot of thoughts, but I just want to say up front, sometimes all you want is a trashy, silly rom-com.
Yeah.
And this delivered on all of those fronts.
Yeah.
I recognize this is not a good movie, but it brought me the right amount of comfort. I was angrily attracted to the main lead, James.
Yes.
I was upset about how much I thought he was a charming man. And you
Yeah.
are right. He's an average-looking white man with an accent, and that automatically elevates him in attractiveness.
No, I said that about Paul.
No, but still, I mean, it's the same thing.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, they're both average-looking white men.
I was like, but that elevates, the accent elevates him.
The
He's
accent
English.
helps, yes.
He's English in this case.
Even better.
Even better. But it was a silly rom-com. Lindsay Lohan acted great, and I agree. I think she carried this film, clearly.
Yeah.
On many fronts. I bought the chemistry between the two leads.
Yeah.
Even though they had very few interactions and had only known each other, 2 days or something?
Yeah.
But it felt natural. And I mean, it was also off-put by the way that you're not supposed to have chemistry between her and Paul Kennedy.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that aspect worked. But is it well written? No.
No.
Is it well acted in some aspects? No. Is the plot great? No. But it's silly. It's fun. It's one of those. It's like junk food. It's like trash TV. It's like eating candy. You just get a little taste, and that's all you need. It doesn't need to be amazing. It doesn't need to be a filet mignon.
No. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I sat down going into this movie knowing pretty much that it was going to be a cheesy rom-com. And I'm I had a nice day today, and I was like, you know what? That sounds kind of nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the plot had some weird things they just forgot about. The writing wasn't that great. But when I see Lindsay Lohan on the screen, and I saw an interview she did about this movie that she loves to do physical comedy. That's one of her favorite things to do in films. And this movie had a lot of physical comedy. And I think that was actually one of the better points of the movie was the physical comedy bits they did. But yeah, I mean, something about Lindsay Lohan, we are biased, and I'm 100% okay with saying that. We're doing a whole series on this podcast about Lindsay Lohan, but she just brings this energy to she's been in other rom-coms, and she brings this energy that even when the movie's not necessarily that great, she still has this charisma about her that just draws you in.
I mean, it's just why I think we like Just My Luck so much.
Yeah.
I can recognize that's not a great movie, but I feel like her and Chris Pine carry that script,
But yeah, it's just this is one of those rom-coms where it's it's not great. I think the 1.9 on Letterboxd was pretty low.
I think that's unfair.
I ranked it a 3, which is a little above average, but most rom-coms I put in that area. It's there's some that I think are higher tiered, but there's also this mid-tier of rom-coms that they just all kind of bunch together.
For reference, I'm going to see, I don't even know if it's on Letterboxd, Among the Shadows. I want to know what that has on Letterboxd.
Yeah, if that's higher, that's messed up.
I think that was called Among the Shadows.
Among the
right?
Shadows, yeah.
Okay. That, Hannah, what rating do you think that has on Letterboxd?
Like a 3.
2.2. 2.2.
Which reality shouldn't even have had a rating.
Yeah. It has how many? So it's had, 231 reviews. Well, that's like written reviews. But it's like the fact that this movie has a 2.2, and objectively, and I'm speaking as someone who loves Lindsay Lohan, objectively one of the worst films I've ever seen in my entire
horrible.
Life. I give it a 0.5 star on Letterboxd. It's one of my lowest rated films ever. Like, it is objectively a terrible movie.
It was so bad.
This is not trying to be anything. That was trying to be a serious movie. This is not trying to be serious. This is a rom-com. This is silly rom-com. It's not, it's in its lane. I think I wrote something where I was like, where did I write something? I don't know. I said it was kind of like a mix between like Leap Year, that Amy Adams movie in Ireland. Did you see that? Did you go to the theaters and see that with me?
I've seen it since, but I didn't see it in theaters.
I saw that in theaters with maybe some of my friends in high school then. And I said it was kind of like a Leap Year plus Just My Luck kind of vibes.
It's basically, when you think about it, it's basically 27 dresses.
Yeah. And 27 dresses, yeah. There's a lot of similarities.
A lot, because there's the whole notion of, like, she's in love with her boss.
They go to a bar. They go to a bar.
The car breaks down. They go to a bar. But then there's this thing of, like, he's the writer for the wedding.
Yes.
And her sister falls in love with the boss. Her best friend falls in... You know what I mean? It's, like, basically the 27 dress... Which, not to say there's not other rom-coms like that.
Yeah.
But the movie knew what it was, which is totally fine. Because sometimes these movies try to be, like, something they're not. And that's what makes them worse. This movie, like, leaned into knowing it's, like, cheesy. And, like, people are probably gonna watch it maybe one time. And that's fine. But, like... Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. Yeah. I laughed a couple times.
I did too.
The couple things that I have an issue with, because I don't want to just sit here and be like, oh, it was fine.
Oh, I have a couple things too.
I really did not like that the side plot with, I don't know her character's name, but it's Aisha Curry.
Her friend.
Her other friend who wasn't the one that was getting married. She had this, in the first half, she had this, like, kind of chemistry with the brother of Paul, and then once everything flipped, I thought Paul's brother was in a gay relationship with the other guy.
Yeah.
And then they, like, didn't talk. It was really weird. Like, they just kind of dropped it.
It was really weird to me that wasn't a plot anymore. And it was, like, kind of a very undeveloped. And then, like, she meets this, like, handsome man at the end of the wedding. He's like, oh, let me try this one instead. And it's like...
Yeah. That was, like, one of the plot things that I had. And I think that's just poor writing and weird plot. Also, fun fact.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Aisha Curry, who, if people don't know, Steph Curry, who's an NBA player, are married... they are actually Lindsay Lohan's child's godparents.
Yeah, she actually asked her, like, encouraged her to get back into acting for this role. Because she was like, hey, I want you to be in this movie. She hadn't, isn't acting much anymore, but she had, like, personally asked her to be in it because they've been friends for a long time, Yeah,
so I thought that was cool. And I thought Aisha Curry did a good job. Like, her character wasn't in it that much, and she didn't have much of a plot.
She didn't have a lot to work with,
But yeah, I thought she was fine. But the other thing, that was an issue.
The other issue I took is I felt like the role of Lindsay Lohan's mom in this movie.
Oh yeah,
was kind of weird, and it was very weird. Like, because basically they just talk over FaceTime, and neither of them know how to hold a phone to FaceTime. Yeah. They're like. Yeah. They're like this. They would FaceTime like this.
It's like watching our mom try to FaceTime.
It's like when you're like...
Yeah.
Like, they held their phones really weird.
Well, and I don't know that the whole thing with her missing the flight made sense for the movie, because...
Yeah, it was just...
She called her, like, after the wedding was supposed to be over, so it didn't interfere with the wedding itself.
Yeah. It just, like, felt really weird. Like, like the stuff with her mom and... I don't know, just, like, some of that stuff, I was like, did we need this character?
Right.
I felt like we didn't need her mom. Either she should have been more involved or less. I don't know. That kind of felt weird. That whole plot point was odd to me. There was, like, one point where, at the very beginning of the movie, which, that part, we can talk about how just, like, the rushed the intro was to the setup of, like, her and her, like, that whole, like, you learn about her being in love with her boss, like, the editor, she's a book editor that she, you know, the writer she works for, meets her friend and him fall in love, and then you cut to them at getting married, like, you're at the airport, and that happens all within 10 minutes. But there's a shot of a reporter asking him a question, and his mouth isn't even moving. Like, the ADR lineup of him asking Paul the question, and you can't even see his mouth moving. And I was like, I had to go back and rewind because I was like, wait, what? And then I, like, looked at it again, and I was like, his mouth isn't moving. I was like, something happened with that. It was just like, do you feel... And I'm like, oh my
like post-production. There's, like, the thing from High School Musical where you can see the camera man in one of the shots because they just, like, didn't edit it.
My other problem was at one point Lindsay Lohan is wearing this yellow sweater, and it made me upset because I had this horrendous sweater as a child with this, like, triangular, like, flap down, and her sweater looked like that sweater, and I got upset because I remembered that I had that sweater and I had worn that, and I have photos in that sweater.
Yeah.
And it's horrific. So that's just a personal hatred.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, obviously there's issues with it, and there's a lot of rom-coms where I can be like, oh, there's some issues with it. You can kind of look past it just because, like, that's not necessarily the point of rom-coms for the most part.
It's like a comfort kind of thing.
And they're not necessarily supposed to be, like, the strongest written movies because the point isn't about the writing. It's about, like,
it's honestly, about the relationship. It's
the chemistry between the lead, which I did think that Lindsay Lohan and James, I can't remember his actor's name. I thought they did a really good chemistry.
I thought so too. I was gonna say I was mad about how into him I was. I was mad about it.
I don't date men. I'm lesbian, and I was into him too. And I was like, this is very confusing.
Hannah, you were also into Killian.
That's true.
The Irish mascot.
Yeah, there's a weird thing going on. But yeah, like I think that for rom-coms, for me, the ones that I really enjoy are, like, the really good chemistry. So I think of, like, Proposal.
13 going on 30.
13 going on 30. It's, like, the actor and actress, or actor, whoever it is, they just have this chemistry where it's like, oh, like, you can feel it, like, it feels genuine and stuff. So I think that was the strong part of the movie. And then, obviously, Lindsay Lohan, because...
she's great.
She's so good in a comedic movie, and when she can... I think she's really good at physical comedy, so when she can, like, show that off, it just... It always is good, you know? And so, yeah, I was just thinking while I was watching this, I was like, I really missed Lindsay Lohan, like, making movies. And I'm glad that...
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I'm glad that she's back into it, and I'm glad that it seems like she's, like, enjoying it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, we've talked about Lindsay Lohan and how, like, there's certain things she's done that isn't great, but there's, like, a lot of stuff, you know, and they just released that Quiet on Set documentary, and I think there's a lot that happens to children in the business that like impacts them later in life and stuff like that. So I just am glad to see her like looking like she's happy and enjoying this. And I just think it's cool to see her in movies again.
And we'll probably be covering somewhat in the near future, but they're currently working on Freaky Friday 2, which I am and Hannah, even if it's terrible, I'm gonna love it.
And it's probably going to come on theaters, I hope. Yeah, I'm going to go watch it. We're going to the midnight premiere.
I was like, midnight premiere.
We're going to the midnight premiere.
I will be there at the midnight premiere for Freaky Friday 2. I'm in.
I can't wait.
Yeah. I kind of feel the same way. Like, yeah, I agree. I feel like these types of movies, it's not necessarily like you laugh at the silly things in the plot that don't make sense or the writing, and you enjoy the relationship, the feeling you get from, like, the love story that's unfolding kind of deal, is the idea. Now, there were some absolutely ridiculous things near the end. Like, some of the setup between her and James, where it's like... Well, one, I did actually kind of like the line where he's like... Because the setup is, like, she had proposed to him in this version of her becoming it. And, you know, he's like, that's absurd, whatever. And she was like, what, do you have are you a misogynist, basically? And he's like, no. He's like, if you were my girlfriend, I would have proposed first. And I was like, oh.
I was like, wait. Do I want him to propose to me?
I know. I'm like, no, I want him to.
I was confused.
And also, there was this whole plot point. And I could not stop laughing. There's this whole plot point where he's like, you know, I'm too emotionally attached. He's like, I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm off to go off to Bolivia to photograph endangered tree lizards. And the delivery was so absurd. And I was laughing so hard about that. And then the other part I couldn't stop laughing at is when she calls off the wedding, she runs after James. They share a passionate kiss, like the whole rotating around, like the swell of music, and then he just says, bye, and drives away.
He is like, I gotta go.
He just drives away. It's like, bye, see ya. And that's it. I was like,
it was like it didn't happen. I was like,
what? I guess that is ridiculous.
I guess for the plot where she had to go, I guess that, like, in my head, I was like, I guess I can see why, but it was a very weird choice to make.
Some of the choices were silly, but like with all rom-coms, they had the classic, like, we go to a bar or somewhere and we have some sort of interaction and we get chemistry. And, like, that was done very well. I really liked that part.
I'm a sucker for rom-com bars. That was my favorite scene. I'm just saying.
I picked
that as my favorite scene.
I really like that type of environment and, like, the setup. Like, something goes wrong, we have to go here. And it's a very common trope in romantic stories. But it works. It works. Yeah, I thought that was a really well done scene. That was also one of my favorite scenes
I picked that as my favorite. Just because I thought that was, like, it showed their chemistry. It, like, it just, I don't know, something about that scene. There was, like, these moments of, like, not much talking, but it felt like a lot was being said, and, like, there was some of this awkwardness, and it just, like, I don't know, it felt right, and that was when it hit me that this movie was like 27 Dresses. I was like, oh wow, this is very similar. But yeah, so
yeah. Do we want to move on to our favorites then?
I mean we might as well, because that was my favorite scene. I picked that one.
That was one of my favorite scenes. I also, like, subtly, I loved the scene at the Cliffs of Moher because I've been there. And it does look like that. And I thought it was funny because I was like, this looks right, except there's way less people and less fog. And then later when she tells Paul that she was at the Cliffs of Moher, he's like, what, that tourist trap? And I was like, he gets it.
Yeah.
Way less people. He gets it. But the funny scene that I really liked is Lindsay Lohan's running down the street in a wedding dress and just does a front flip into a car and lands in James's lap. Yeah. And I thought that was so ridiculous that's how we reintroduce these characters to each other, that for funny reasons, that was also one of my favorite scenes as well.
Yeah.
All right, but who was your favorite character in this movie?
I mean, I had to go with Madeline, with Lindsay Lohan. I did really like James, too. But I just thought Madeline was this character who, like, there's growth in the movie. She, like, can't stand up for herself, and, like, by the end of it, she's like, fuck you, I'm gonna go write my own book, you mofo.
What? And he's like, oh, what?
He was such a little bitch baby.
Little bitch boy.
He was, and that's why I was like, whatever.
He also said the phrase, tickety-boo.
Yeah.
Which I don't know.
God.
Yeah. Tickety-boo.
But yeah, I just thought that her character had good, like, growth in the movie. Every scene she was in, I enjoyed it. And it's Lindsay Lohan, and, like, Lindsay Lohan and comedies kind of just go hand in hand.
Yeah, I also picked Maddie as well. Same reasons. I thought she was the best character in the movie. I did like James a lot, but I thought her role was the best. And it's Lindsay Lohan, so
she wins every time.
She wins.
I did have a favorite line, and it was kind of a comedy moment, and it was a really quick scene. It was with the mom. She was at the airport, and, like, this couple's, like, finishing up at the ticket desk, and she just runs up there, and she's like, you're done. And she's like, it's my turn. And she was like, just the way it was delivered was funny to me. So I picked that.
I picked I'm off to Bolivia to photograph an endangered tree lizard line because of how ridiculous it was. Like, he's like, I'm a wildlife photographer. What's he going? He's just randomly has a job, specifically to go to Belize to photograph an endangered tree lizard. Yeah. And I was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love it.
We do Lindsay Lohan moments for these favorite, and I kind of cheated, but I just said, like, anytime she was doing physical comedy. I thought about when she flipped into the car. There's a scene at the beginning where, like, her scarf gets stuck in the cab and it gets, like, twirled off. But if I had to pick, like, an actual scene, there was this part when she goes back to, like, make a new wish, and she's sitting there and she's, like, trying to, like, conjure up a breeze, and she's like, I'll take anything, come on, like, whatever. And it's just, like, that's when she's at her best, I think, when she's, like, doing stuff like that. It kind of reminded me of, like, Freaky Friday a little bit, and I was like, yeah. But all of the physical comedy stuff, too, was just gold.
I agree. For my Lohan moment, I also picked a physical comedy moment. I did love that moment where she was trying to pretend to make wind. Yeah. She's like, give me anything. But I picked the one where she is on a bike and she crashes into a fence. But I thought it was funny. I told a coworker about that had watched this, and so she was like, oh, I actually want to watch it. So was texting me about it, and I don't think she'd mind me sharing it. But she said, watching someone pretend they don't know how to ride a bike is my new favorite thing. And I was like, It was great. Because I'm like, clearly Lindsay Lohan knows how to ride a bike. So having to, like, pretend like you don't know how to ride a bike and crash into something is kind of funny. And it was funny. Yeah. So I picked that one. But, all the physical comedy I thought worked pretty well for this movie. So
yeah. Okay, so
the ranking.
Which I switched it, and then I switched it again. But for my ranking, I would put it right now at number 8.
Okay.
So Prairie Home Companion is number 7 for me, and then Falling for Christmas was 9. I enjoyed this movie more than Falling for Christmas. It felt a little bit better chemistry between the leads, and I felt like there were more moments that, like, I laughed at. And Falling for Christmas is pretty similar, where it's like, it's a cheesy Christmas movie. You know what you're getting. But I just think when I was thinking about it, I've only watched Falling for Christmas once, and it was 3 years ago at this point, 2 years ago. But when I was thinking about it, I was like, I think I enjoy it more than Falling for Christmas, but I did not think it was above, like, a Prairie Home Companion with, like, the superstar cast they had and, like, that kind of movie.
Yeah.
So, I put it at 8.
Yeah, so I have mine at 10, and so it's in between above or below Just My Luck, and then above Falling for Christmas. So kind of the same thing with you, where I thought it was about the same as Falling for Christmas, but I liked this one a bit better, I think. I think I need to revisit my list a little bit.
I can't believe you have Just My Luck that low.
Because I remember when we did Falling for Christmas, I put it there because I couldn't justify putting it over Just My Luck. And this is I had the same thing again where I was like, I can't put it any higher because Just My Luck is there. So I think I'm going to need to revisit. I think I need to rewatch Just My Luck or something and think about revisiting my list before we do Freaky Friday 2, because this is twice now where I'm, like, limited due to the fact that I can't put anything above Just My Luck. So I think I made a little oopsie with my original ranking there.
I actually was thinking that with Prairie Home Companion, because I put it at 7, but I kind of ran into the same thing where I was like, I can't put it above that movie, but I also, like, I had Confessions of the Teenage Drama Queen above that movie, and I was like, I don't know. So I might need to revisit my list, too.
Yeah, I think I have Prairie Home Companion at 5.
Yeah, yours was high. It was like 4.
I really liked that movie. I was surprised at how much I liked it.
But
I think I need to revisit my list a little bit, maybe.
Right. We definitely we revisited certain lists, so we can
edit things as wanted. Yeah. So that is Irish Wish. New Lohan movie.
Oh, did you know that there's actually another Lohan movie?
Is it the other Netflix one? Because remember, she had a 2-picture deal.
I don't know. It's 2 resentful exes must awkwardly spend Christmas together after learning their new partners are siblings.
So it probably is the other Netflix movie.
It comes out. It says 2024. It has Kristen Chenoweth and Chris Parnell in it.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Anyways, so we might have another.
So that's movie. Coming out this.
Oh my
winter?
God, Tim Meadows is in it.
Oh,
Ian Meadows? Harding from Pretty Little Liars.
Oh, really? Well, we hate Ezra.
Oh, wow.
But,
okay, so we'll probably be watching another movie potentially at the end of this year.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, we don't have a release date for Freaky Friday 2 yet.
No, but I was looking at her
production.
IMDb and.
Okay.
Yeah, so that sounds like it's going to come out around Christmas time.
Yeah.
So that could probably be a December episode. But yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
If you're a Lindsay Lohan fan, like we are, if you grew up on her movies, you can let us know your favorite one. If it's not Parent Trap,
get the fuck out.
You're wrong. If it's Among the Shadows,
also get the fuck out.
Yeah, that's an issue. That's worse than Cars 2, almost.
Yeah, okay, I'll put the sinker out. I'll put the floater out. The bait. I'll take the bait. If Among the Shadows, if you think it's a good movie, please let us know. We'd love to talk to you. We'll reel you in. Oh, got a big one there.
Yeah, we would love to talk to you.
Yeah. R3podcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
We have social media. We have an Instagram.
Yep.
And a letterbox that I still am trying to update,
but we have this one as a 3-star. We agreed.
But we do. I will when I add the Lohan rankings.
Yes.
Maybe after the Ghibli or before. Or, I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll think about doing more when I have time.
Yeah. But yeah. We'll be back with something because I don't know when this episode's coming out, and I don't know what's next.
We currently have like 4 things recorded, so I don't know orders, but something will be out. Bye.
Bye. We would like to thank Joseph McDade for our intro music. He provides free music available for all kinds of creative use. The song that we used is called Sunrise Expedition, and you can find it and his other music on his website, josephmcdade.com. If you would like to reach us, you can email us at r3podcasts@gmail.com. That's R, the number 3, podcasts@gmail.com. Or you can find us on Instagram by searching Research Rank Repeat. You want me to tell that story? Time you shit your pants? And he ran away. He's like, don't tell it. Okay, you guys are gonna beat the shit out of each other. That's cool.